What's up everybody, welcome back. Infamous here, coming back with another ESO related build video. If you're looking for ESO builds for PvP, be sure to check out battleofthebuild.com. You can come here to the ESO class guide, scroll down, and you can check out the numerous builds that are related there for all the classes, for whatever playstyle that you play. Whether you play Stamina, Magicka, whether you're looking to play a DPS role, support role, healer, tank, etc. There's numerous builds for all of the classes here, and I'll be archiving this build for the Necromancer. This build that we're discussing is going to be for the Necromancer, and this is a heavy armored Necromancer build that I am introducing. If this is your first time here, be sure to hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on future content. With that said, like I said, this is a Necromancer build for the current patch. My Necromancer is a Nord. I do recommend Nord for the Necromancer for the extra resistance, as well as the Old Chan. It gives you stamina, HP, resistance to frost. Like I said, this is a PvP build, right? So this is in Cyrodiil, all points into stamina. We are running the warrior for the weapon damage. Taking a look at the stats, we have 28k HP, 16k Magicka with 29k stam. These are the recoveries with a tripod. You can see the weapon damage right here is 49, almost 4950. Critical is just shy of 29% with 60% weapon critical and spell critical. In terms of your resistances, you're running at 26k with 1500 penetration, and that's because of the Necromancer passive. In terms of the effective weapon damage, and I always speak about this, is that I typically like to stay above 7k, and you can see right here that this build is coming in at 7850, so it's got a lot of damage built into it. With that said, let's jump right into the sets. For this particular build, I'm running the 1 Kina, 1 Dama house, and we're running I believe this is a 6 heavy. Yeah, this is a 6 heavy build, 6 heavy, 1 medium. Reinforced always on the chest. We're running the Truth set. Truth gives you, is when you set an enemy off balance, this is your weapon damage is increased by 450 for 10 seconds, as well as giving you a lot of critical, stamina, and weapon damage. The 1 Dama house is there for the 1 line of stamina and Magicka. Kina is there for the extra weapon damage, and of course it's Impen. Impen on everything, as this is more of a middle of the line brawler type gameplay, especially for the Necromancer, because you're kind of going to be using things like Mortal Coil, as you can see right there. Robust on the jewelry, and where the other set that we're utilizing is Black Rose. Black Rose is going to increase the amount of what you restore from the Constitution passive. It gives you 650, and then the Black Rose set gives you an additional 35%. So you're going to gain extra Magicka recovery and extra stamina recovery as you're taking damage. It's not the only way that we're going to recover, but it's one way that we're going to cover. Besides, we are running dual wield. Going dual wield maces, and I preferred the maces for the extra penetration. So that'll give you 20% penetration. The build is meant for a little more damage with an axe on the back bar infused for the weapon glyph. So if you want to introduce a bleed, you've got it on the back bar. So just be sure when you heavy attack on your back bar, to get the glyph, 2 to also try to proc the bleed from the twin blade and blunt. But the front bar is primarily there to increase the amount of penetration that we have, so that our abilities are hitting hard instead of just waiting for a proc for a bleed and hoping we get the bleed proc. Basically, whenever we hit multiple opponents with things like our ultimates or with things like blighted blast bones, it's going to penetrate more of their armor. You're going to gain an additional 20% armor penetration. Like I said, we're running the Black Rose set, and then for the jewelry, we're running all weapon damage. As you can see there, Impin on everything, Tri-Stat on the large pieces, and we're running mixture of health and some stamina, because I think 29k is enough. 29, especially for no CP, 29k stamina, more than enough. And so I wanted to hit a little bit of a higher health mark, and I'll go into that. Like I said, we're running axe on the back bar infused, and then for the food, we're running anything that's going to give you Tri-Stat. In terms of the abilities that we're using from the Necromancer kit, our spammable is going to be Venom Skull, coming in at almost 7,800. This is every third cast of this ability deals 20% more damage. And then, of course, this is while slotted. Casting any Necromancer ability while you're in combat will count towards the third cast. Excuse me. So we've got a lot of Necromancer abilities. As you see, I think we're only running 2 non-Necromancer abilities outside of the ultimate. Otherwise, everything else is basically a Necromancer ability. So the way that we're going to proc the Truth Set is with the Ruinous Sith. So this ability is designed for healing, to give you a little bit of healing, but it will also set the person off balance. It says every third cast of this ability will set all enemies hit off balance. It heals you for a portion, so you get, if you're in a 1v1, you'll gain the initial hit, and then for every additional person that you hit, it increases, it adds a kind of like a little bit of additional heal. Brett, the primary purpose of it, does deal a little bit of damage. Very quick ability, as well as dealing damage, and most importantly, setting people off balance, so that we can proc the Truth Set. As it says there, the Truth Set is procced whenever you off balance someone. So basically, once you proc the Truth Set, this basically is 100% uptime, because this is going to way that you're going to be supplementing your healing outside of things like Spirit Guardian, Mortal Coil, Dead in Pain, and I think that's it in terms of our healing and a pot. So like I said before, so this is how you're going to proc that. It's going to give you a little bit of healing, and then of course running Blast Bones. You can see the damage there, just shy of 13k. I went with Dead in Pain, if you primarily because I wanted the damage reduction. Like I said, this is a bit more of a heavy brawler build, as we are running six heavy, 1 medium, which is why I went 6 heavy for the Constitution passive, right? So the more medium, the more heavy you have, and I wanted to put the 1 medium in there, 1 for the passive for a little bit more weapon critical, a little bit of reduction to all of our abilities, as well as for the, where is it, Undaunted, right? So that we gain a little bit more to our overall stats. And especially because Necromancer benefits from having higher HP, as we'll go into with the build. So that's kind of why I went with Dead in Pain. It's another source of healing. Most importantly, it says while slotted, the damage taken is reduced by 3%. So not only do you get 3% damage reduction, but then you also gain major protection. For every corpse that you basically absorb, you gain 2 seconds of major protection. Expert Hunter is there just primarily to give you major savagery, as well as the extra passive weapon damage from Fighters Guild. And then we're running another Fighters Guild ability, Dawnbreaker, for the stuns. Basically going to be our only form of stun, burst damage, and of course a nice damage over time, as you can see right there. Just shy of 13k on the upfront damage, with 17k dot over the next 6 seconds, plus the stun. The back bar ability here is kind of a flex spot. If you wanted to introduce a little bit more damage, you could go ahead and use another Necromancer ability that kind of got buffed, which would be the Skeletal Archer. So if you felt that you didn't really need the cleanse, and that you were able to survive in terms of your healing with the Ruinous Sith, the Spirit Guardian is going to give you some healing, as well as Mortal Coil is really where you're going to get a lot of your big healing coming from. And then of course Dead in Pain, and of course utilizing a pot. So this is based your primary ways that you're going to be getting your healing. So if you felt that you had really good survivability and you didn't need to worry about always having to remove dots, I put this here just because I wanted a little bit more sustain. If you feel that you don't need the same, you might not, because between heavy armor, also I forgot to mention that people are set off balance for longer with the recent patch. I believe it's for 7 seconds instead of 4 like it used to be. Also, when an opponent is set off balance, and this is another way that you're going to sustain, is that any person who is set off balance and then you wind up the heavy attack, the heavy attack restores twice as much stamina or magicka. So since both of our weapons are going to be melee, basically that's another way that we're going to be gaining back our stamina via heavy attacks. But also when that person is off balance, you're going to gain double the amount of stamina return, and then it'll consume the off balance. You'll still maintain the proc from the Truth Set, but the off balance status that in no CP really doesn't have an effect outside of just giving you more stamina, because it really only has more of an effect in CP. in terms of dealing more damage. So this is kind of a flex spot. The ability that I would probably run would be the Skeletal Archer. You can see the tooltip right there. The reason being is because, one, it'll give you another corpse to either pull for Dead and Pain or to pull for Mortal Coil. So you have one corpse. If you were running this ability, you have one corpse here, one corpse here, one corpse here, and then of course another corpse from Summoning Armor. So that can give you theoretically up to 8 seconds of major protection. That said, the other ability that we're using for the damage reduction is the Spirit Guardian. It also gives you the passive from, where is it? Right here, Undead Confederate, which gives you an additional 200 stamina recovery and magical recovery while any summon is up, either Blast Bones or Spirit Guardian. Forward momentum, for obvious reasons, for the snare immunity, major brutality, and it gives you minor endurance in this new patch. The biggest way that you're going to heal is via Mortal Coil. I talked about this before, that Mortal Coil really got overbuffed. So in PvP, if you want to just do a little bit of math of how much is this ability going to heal you, it's what? Pull out a trusty calculator. So we're looking at 21k, right? That's cut in half in Cyrodiil. All right, so that's a 10,500 heal that you're going to get over 12 seconds. So in terms of the heal per second, and I believe it ticks every half second. So, but in essence, every second, you're going to be getting 875 HP per second. And then, of course, you're going to be getting a little bit of healing from the Spirit Guardian. So that's 2,800. So that's an additional 1,400 just from the Spirit Guardian every 2 seconds. So in terms of HP recovery, it would be like around just over 3,000 just between these two abilities. You'd have 3,000 HP recovery. So in terms of your in combat recovery, you're looking at around about 4,000 between everything, between Spirit Guardian, Mortal Coil, Dead and Pain, and then of course this is like an on-demand heal. And then of course these heals of course are basically a little bit stronger because you have access to high uptime on major protection via Dead and Pain. If you felt that you had good survivability, you can basically change the morphs or swap this out for more damage, or swap this out for more ultimate regen. So if you did run, for example, this ability and you wanted to test your ability to survive, you could switch this out to the morph that gives you more ult regen instead of the major protection if you felt that you had good survivability. Your biggest burst combo is going to come from you're going to summon your Blast Bones, immediately wind up a heavy attack into a Venomous Skull. Basically where a lot of your burst is going to come from. Heavy attacks on this build are around 5k or so, 5 or 6k. Let me take a look at it. Not sure if it was showing up correctly. So a heavy attack from the dual wield is 5350. And then you've got Venom Skull for 7,800. And then of course it's going to deal an additional 20%. So 20% of 78 would be an additional 1560. 78. So basically every third cast you're going to be coming out with about a 9,300 Venom Skull. Of course into the Blast Bone, that's basically going to be your rotation non-stop, of course, and procking, trying to proc the bleed on the back bar with the axe on the back bar, and then of course Ruinous Sith will do a little bit more damage, and then but the vast majority of your damage is going to come from Blast Bones, heavy attack, and Venom Skull. And then of course Dawnbreaker whenever you have it, or if you didn't want to run Dawnbreaker, you could run Pestilence. When your opponent does get low, because we're not running Execute, you still have access to Death and Kneel, right? You can see our current weapon critical is 28%, and then when your opponent reaches below 25%, Death and Kneel will kick in, increasing your effective weapon damage to 8650, and your critical will go to almost 49%, as well as your spell critical when your opponent gets low. Like I said, your main source of healing is going to come from Mortal Coil, Spirit Guardian, and Ruinous Sith. Backbar ultimate is the Ravenous Goliath. So for example, most of these builds are designed for Battlegrounds. I'm a Battlegrounds exclusive content creator. So the vast majority of the builds that I come out with are going to be designed to deal damage as well as sustain and survive in a no CP BG environment. So Ravenous Goliath seemed like the better morph to go with. One, it will give you an additional source of healing. And two, which is kind of why I went with the really high HP, was because when you do flip over into, for example, let's say maybe your whole team wiped, and instead of being the next person to wipe, you go ahead and you pop your Goliath. That's going to put you at 68k, and I'll actually just take a look at what that's going to look like when you flip to your front bar. So it's going to put you at around 63k HP. And then in terms of the amount of damage that you'll be dealing, it says your light attacks restore 1360, your heavy attacks restore 3400, and then you're basically pulsing for 3241 damage, and then you absorb all of that damage as HP. It gives you another source of HP for this build. The other thing that it does is it also increases, because Ruin is Sith is basically, it says the healing of this ability scales off of your max HP, which is why I also decided to put this on the back bar, so that if you were, for example, you were being outnumbered and you needed a way to sustain yourself until you're waiting for maybe your buddy to come back or for your team to respawn, then you gain a really ridiculous heal. As you can see there, it's got a 10k tooltip now for that first person. So that first person is basically going to heal you for 10k. Of course, that's cut in half in Cyrodiil, so it gives you a 5k spammable heal, as well as when you're in multiple, for example, if you're holding out for like in a 1v2 and a 1v3, gives you up to an additional 4500 on top of the 10k, the 5k that you're getting, outside of just Mortal Coil, Spirit Guardian, etc. Right? It's basically the way this build is designed. So this will sit on your back bar, so that on your front bar you gain the extra damage. This is just basically there for if you have survival, you can become a little bit more of a brawler for this build for your team. In terms of only source of being able to CC is going to come from DB, and that's basically you want to make sure to pop Dead in Pain as often as you can. 1 for the damage reduction, 2 for the healing, as well as making sure you keep high uptime on your ultimates. Don't hold your ultimate. As soon as you get it, just line up a combo and immediately use your abilities. The longer you hold it, you're just basically wasting ultimate and basically wasting DPS. I think that's basically it for this build. If you have any questions, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if you like the content. I will be coming back with another build for, I think, Warden. Right, I have another build coming out for the Warden, and I believe another one for DK. With that said, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for watching. Like I said, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, or if you have any tips on anything else that you need, you can always check me out on Twitch up here at Infamous NYC. I've been playing a lot of teamfight tactics lately, but I will be doing an ESO stream Friday night, doing some BGs, and I'll be showcasing some of the different builds that I put out for the week. Hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. Take care. Thanks for watching. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe.